Hi, and welcome to Book Impressions. In this episode, I will give you my impression of the book, Make Me Forget. It's in the Make Me series. There are 3 books. But after studying this, I found out they are sort of standalone books. The author is Kennedy Fox, which I have to assume is a pen name. This book has 216 pages. It's in English, and it was published on November 2nd of 2017, so it's been a while since it's been out. The Kindle ebook is $4.99. The paperback is $12.99. The hardcover is $22.99. And let's look at our cover. This is a really hot looking cover. I do like the photo on the cover. The only thing I don't like about this cover, and I've commented on it in other videos if you've watched some of my other videos, is I don't like when the title and the author is mushed up together. Sometimes I struggle with seeing where the title begins and the title ends, and that's why I don't like it. The one thing I will say about this particular cover, though, is they did decide to make the title in a different font, which I think kind of helps it not to look too crowded. But I just think if we had a little bit more separation between this and this, the book would look better. But the cover is a really great looking cover. Okay, let's look at our blurb. Never trust a man who answers the door wearing nothing more than a pair of low-cut jeans and a panty-melting smirk. Panty-melting smirk. Interesting. Okay. Being a romance novelist comes with its perks, but when Ethan Rochester enters my life and interrupts my solo writing retreat, my world turns upside down. I write about guys like him for a living. Sexy and charming, yet reluctant to get into a serious relationship. His body's the ultimate temptation, but his condescending personality makes him a notorious heartbreaker. When we're forced to be neighbors, he makes me forget my roles, and soon my upcoming deadline isn't the only thing I'm dreading. And then it goes on to say, can be read as a complete standalone, so it is, even though there's 3 books. Formerly titled, so this book was titled something else at one time, they decided to retitle it. It was called Falling for the Bad Boy. And it says, content has not changed, so if you read Falling for the Bad Boy, you probably wouldn't want to buy this again because it's the same book. They just decided to rename it, Make Me Forget. Sometimes authors do this, especially self-published authors. Let's see if they're self-published. Yeah, I have to assume they are since I don't see any publisher. They're not doing too bad on the bestseller rank. And from what I'm seeing, Kennedy Fox is a writing partnership. It's these 2 ladies right here. And they're showing you the other books. Here they are. Let's look at them. There is Make Me Forget, which is what we're looking at right now, Make Me Crazy, and Make Me Stay. So there's something probably that kind of comes from here to here to here, but you can probably still read them as standalones. Maybe it's just a specific character in this book that ends up in this book, and another character in this book ends up in this book. Who knows? A lot of times that's what happens when we make standalones. Okay, and as you can see, I purchased this book back on March 12th of 2022, and I'm happy to say I did read this book. I'll tell you what I thought about it when we get to the end of this video. But in the meantime, let's look at how many ratings it has. It has 786 ratings, which is pretty good for being published back in 2017. And it has an overall 4.4 out of 5 stars. 5 stars has 66%, 4 stars 20%, 3 stars 8%, 2 stars 2%, and 1 star 3%. Let's read some of our headlines under 5 stars. As we know, 5 stars are people who really love this book, and at 66%, the percentage is doomed. Okay. It says, don't believe all the bad reviews. So I guess this book must have some bad reviews if this person wants you to think, don't read them, but anyway. we'll read them as we go along. It says, delicious enemies to lover romance. First book by Kennedy Fox, and I loved it. So this person's the first time they read a book by him. It says, all the stars. Ethan is hot. I absolutely love this one. Fantastic romance. So much more than a bad boy. Loved Ethan and Veda's connection. So Ethan and Veda are our couple in this book. This one says stunning. Okay. 5 cocky stars for Ethan Rochester. So our 5 stars look pretty good. Let's look at 4 stars. 4 stars. Yes, 3.5 stars, really good. So I guess they kind of were in between a 3 and a 4 star. Heather. I'm not sure who Heather is. I don't recall Heather in this book. Another great read from these authors. Funny and emotional. Oh, my Prince Albert. Okay. I'm not sure where that comes from either. 4.5 Casanova stars. She refers to him in his book as Casanova. That's probably where they got that. Says, so good. Ethan is the perfect bad boy. Good, but too much cheesy dialogue. Although I have to admit there was a little bit of cheesy dialogue from what I saw. Says, I am hooked and need more of these authors. Got read, alright? Let's see what our 3 stars say, because these are the people who usually like something or didn't like something. It said, loved Ethan, Veda was okay. Nothing outstanding about the book. I'm going to read this comment. Wondering why a woman cannot help but fall into bed with a guy who has a nice body. Doesn't matter, he comes off as an arrogant man whore. She cannot resist a hot body. Seriously, she was just desperate. There is no other logical explanation. It's a good story once you get past the fact the author has decided that a woman cannot resist a hot body. He has a sad backstory which kind of explains some of his behavior. It was an enjoyable read, and I kind of agree with this person when I read the book. I felt some of this. It says, falling for the bad boy. It was okay. Let's read this one. It says, the book just felt rushed. Everything about it just didn't feel like it had been drawn out and built up like they normally do. I mean, Ethan put Veda into his bed on the first night. It just didn't hold up very well. And I have to agree also when I read this book. That's an e-book. It says, falling for the bad boy. Good book. Could have been better. Let's read that one. The sex scenes are spectacularly written. I agree. I haven't laughed so hard at such small details. The book had me in tears. There were some moments. The backstory about him especially will get you teary-eyed. I bet there were chapters that weren't well written. I have to agree with that one too. I had to skip a few pages so I didn't receive a massive headache from reading phrases that didn't make sense. There were a few times, especially in the second half of the book, I would have to say, that's where most of that happened, because in the first part of the book, it kept me turning the pages. Okay, cheesy goodness. Love Kennedy Fox, just not this book. Ugh, let's read this comment. I am a huge Kennedy Fox fan. However, this novel didn't pack the punch that the previous ones did. It felt juvenile, premature, just had a lack of adulting words, and the dialogue was out of context for me. Doesn't mean I won't continue to read Kennedy Fox. I love this pair. And this one says good. Okay, let's look at our 2 stars. These are people who can't decide whether they like this or they don't like it. Okay, 2 out of 5 stars. Not for me. Disappointing. Lackluster for me. Did not finish at 19%. Let's read this comment. It's so small. I like my books to have more realistic dialogue than this one provides. The attempt at witty repartee comes across crash and stilted with touches of insult and harassment. Some people don't like that kind of story, but that doesn't mean you won't like that kind of story. Some of us do, right? Like I always say about these reviews, they're just somebody's opinion. What somebody's opinion is may be totally different from yours. Okay, falling for the slightly snarky boy with a piercing. Okay. Let's look at 1 stars. 1 stars are generally people who don't read this genre or they find something highly offensive. Okay, this one says cringeworthy. No, not my taste. Cringy cliches. Couldn't finish this book. The lady is obnoxious for no reason. A few hours of your life will never get back, and they deleted it. Okay? You can almost see it. Some of it, the book has a lot of sex in it. I'm going to tell you that. And the sex is very graphic in the book. And that could have been the thing that bothered this person. Let's see. Cringeworthy. This book has me cringing from the moment that Ethan made his entrance in chapter 1. The downright crash sexual innuendos that he made to his new tenant had me rolling my eyes. Who in their right mind would run from a stranger who keeps mentioning things of a sexual nature and admits to watching me through a window on day 2? There was a lack of chemistry and maturity. This book seemed like it was a couple of high school kids playing house to me. And there were some pieces in the book that people might find offensive like that. And on some level I did, but the book had some great moments in it. But if you don't like that kind of stuff, this book may not be the book for you. But if you like that kind of banter, that sexual undertone, that hot for each other, that attraction for each other the moment you meet, hey, you like the story. But the second half of the book, I have to tell you, my interpretation of it was, it felt rushed. I felt like they didn't really have a high moment in this book. Usually when you're reading a book, there's usually some major twist or turn that keeps you hanging, and you're wondering about how are they going to fix this? Is this going to work out? You're kind of like hanging there. I didn't feel that in this book. I felt like when they did have kind of a fight, breakup, they got back together too quick is how I felt, even though it was kind of strange what happened. Anyway, I'm not going to give you any spoilers to this book, but it was a decent read, is what I can say. If you like Kennedy Fox, and if you've read Kennedy Fox, you like the romance of Kennedy Fox, and as I say, they're a partnership writing group. But I have had people say this was not one of their better books. They've had better books, is what I've been told. They do have a blog out here. And, okay, let's read their autobiography. It says, Brooke Cumberland and Lyra Parrish are a duo of romance authors who teamed up under the USA Today pseudonym Kennedy Fox. They share a love of Hallmark movies, overpriced coffee, and making TikToks. So they must be on TikTok. When they aren't bonding over romantic comedies, they like to brainstorm new book ideas. One day in 2016, they decided to collaborate under a pseudonym and have some fun creating new characters that'll make you blush and your heart melts. Happily ever after guaranteed. They have a lot of other places you can find them. They also have a website at kennedyfoxbooks.com. They do write a lot of books. And what I will do is I will take this book, Make Me Forget, and put the link down in the description. So if you're interested, just click on it and come over here and look at the book, or come over and look at their other books, because they have a lot of other books. They range between $4.99 and $5.99. I'm sure if you love romance, you probably will love Kennedy Fox. I can tell you that much. So anyway, if you like this kind of content and you would like to receive more content about books, I hope you'll think about subscribing to this channel. So until next time, this is Book Impressions signing off.